It was a warm summer evening on September 11th, 1997, when Art Bell, the iconic host of the late-night radio show Coast to Coast AM, received what would become one of the most infamous and chilling calls in his career. That night's topic? Government secrets and UFO conspiracies. But no one, not even Art, could have predicted the eerie, desperate voice that would soon come through the line. The man introduced himself as a former employee of Area 51, the notorious government facility in the Nevada desert that has long been the center of alien and UFO conspiracy theories. He claimed he was fired a week earlier, but not before he uncovered horrifying secrets about what really goes on behind the barbed wire and armed guards. Suddenly, caller's voice cut out mid-sentence. The line went dead. Static filled the airwaves. For a moment, Art thought the caller had been disconnected, but then the radio station itself went down. The entire broadcast was interrupted by a total power outage. Speculation erupted among his listeners. Had the government silenced him? Or had the very entities he described found him first? You be the judge.
Online, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello, Art.
Yes.
Hi. I don't have a whole lot of time.
Well, look, let's begin by finding out whether you're using this line properly or not.
Area 51.
Yeah, that's right. Were you an employee or are you now?
A former employee.
Former employee.
I was let go on a medical discharge about a week ago, and I've kind of been running across the country. Oh man, I don't know where to start. They're gonna they'll triangulate on this position really soon.
So you can't spend a lot of time on the phone. So give us something quick.
Okay. Okay. What we're thinking of as aliens, Art, they're extra-dimensional beings that an earlier precursor of the space program made contact with. They are not what they claim to be. They have infiltrated a lot of aspects of the military establishment, particularly the Area 51. The disasters that are coming, the military, I'm sorry, the government knows about them, and there's a lot of safe areas in this world that they could begin moving the population to now, Art.
But they're not doing anything.
They are not. They want the major population centers wiped out so that the few that are left will be more easily controllable.
Discharge.
I started getting...
The line abruptly went silent. Static filled the airwaves. Then the radio station itself went down.
In some way, something knocked us off the air, and we're on a backup system now.
It's the government, or...
I don't know.
It has to be something, though.
Well, did you hear... Now, you tell me, because you were listening.
That was awful strange.
There was a really weird guy on the air when it went off?
Yeah. Real weirded out.
Like, going... Sort of sounding paranoid, schizophrenic?
Like crying and everything.
Yeah. And how far into the conversation was it when it went off?
Just a couple, about 15, 20 seconds, I'd say.
Oh, you guys missed... You really missed a call then, and I've got a feeling somebody didn't want you to hear it.
Yeah. Because it was really strange. All of a sudden, I'm hearing Mark Furman, and
That's right. Well, the network, of course, went immediately to a backup tape while we tried to figure out what blew up here. So that's what you heard happen. And then we're now on a backup link system to be on the air at all right now. So, well, I'm telling you.
Am I on the air right now?
You're on the air right now. Well, you better be, yes.
And
where are you, by the way?
I'm in Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah, I called the other night, and I wanted to ask two things.
Real quick.
Well, I wanted to say one thing, and I wanted to ask another.
Real quick.
I wanted to ask if you could play that remote viewing one when you were while you go to Egypt.
Yes.
And also, I wanted to know all this stuff about, like, Area 51, if it's, like, the government's trying to put it out there like that, so, like, some other place isn't being watched as much.
In other words, it's a big decoy. I see what you're saying here, and apparently we'll be back after the news, I think. Sandy Beach here, inviting. We lost all transmit capability on this end here in Nevada. The transmitter went belly up suddenly for some unknown reason. I've never seen it do this in all the years that we've been on the air. I have never seen the transmitter in this way just simply fail, massively fail, like a massive heart attack or some kind. And so we have gone to a backup system to get the signal to you right now, and I presume it is getting to you right now. Total.
The frantic caller's voice cut out mid-sentence, leaving Art Bell and millions of listeners stunned. The sudden silence on the other end of the line was deafening, an eerie void that hung in the air. Art tried to regain composure, but before he could say anything, the unthinkable happened. The entire broadcast went dead. Listeners across the nation were met with static. The station had gone completely off the air, as though someone, or something, had pulled the plug. It wasn't a technical glitch or an accident. The timing was too precise, too deliberate. It was as if a switch had been flipped to silence not just the caller, but the entire transmission. When the show finally came back on air several minutes later, Art Bell was audibly shaken. He addressed his audience, explaining that the station had experienced what he called an unprecedented technical failure. He admitted he didn't know what had just happened, but assured everyone they were investigating. The strange timing, however, was impossible to ignore. The days following the broadcast were filled with conspiracy theories. Theories ranged from government intervention to the caller being a hoax. But then, strange reports began to surface from Art's listeners. One man claimed that he saw a dark, humanoid figure outside his home, staring at him through the window. Others reported vivid nightmares of being watched by glowing, inhuman eyes. The eeriest of all was a woman who lived near the Nevada desert. She swore she saw lights in the sky the night of the call, lights that hovered silently, too low to be stars and too strange to be man-made. But Art himself didn't seem convinced it was a prank. He later mentioned on air that the station's engineers were unable to explain the outage. There had been no equipment failures, no power surges, and no known interference. It was as if the broadcast had been deliberately jammed by an external force. The caller was never heard from again. Attempts to trace the phone number he used led to dead ends. No records of his identity surfaced, and the mystery only deepened with time. Years later, conspiracy theorists analyzing the recording of the broadcast noticed something chilling. In the background of the caller's panicked voice, there was a faint hum. It was almost imperceptible, but when the audio was amplified, the hum revealed a disturbing pattern, a rhythmic series of tones like a language being spoken. Experts who analyzed the sound claimed it wasn't human, and its origin remains a mystery. The frantic caller's story became a cornerstone of UFO lore, but the true mystery was never solved. Who was he? Was his story real or an elaborate hoax? If real, was he silenced by a government agency or the very entities he tried to expose? Some skeptics argue the call was a publicity stunt or a fabrication, but others point to the anomalies surrounding that night: the sudden power outage, the eerie hum in the recording, and the strange phenomena reported by listeners. In 2015, a former radio technician revealed something startling. The caller's number wasn't listed on the station's call log. It was as if the call had never happened. Stranger still, attempts to trace the source of the audio revealed no connection to any known telecommunications provider. It was as though the caller had appeared out of nowhere and disappeared just as quickly, much like the interdimensional beings he had described. Even now, decades later, the story remains one of the most unsettling and enigmatic events in radio history. Was the frantic caller a hoaxer, a victim of a conspiracy, or something else entirely? One thing is certain: the whispers of that night continue to haunt those who dare to listen.